most people don't know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't know who they are. Most people are still trying to figure out who's authentically me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know who's authentically me because I don't take the time to be authentically me, or I engage in habits and behaviors that stop me from being who I authentically am, right?
Why are we struggling with relationships in this generation?
Because hurt people one.
The show is Engineer Your Life, and I'm Lungelo KM. If you clicked on this episode, it means you are very, very intentional about your life changing, because the person I have today is what they call a life coach, right? This is a person you go to if you are intentional about your decisions, if you are insistent on making the right things, changing the things that are bad for you, redesigning your habits and making sure that you live the life you were designed to live. Life coach Khanyi.
Hi.
Is that what they call you?
That's what they call me.
Were you intentional about being life coach Khanyi, or did it come along somewhere?
Okay, so it's like, my name is Khanyisa, right? And I was like, who do I want to call myself on social media? And I was like, life coach Khanyi, and it just stuck. Yeah. And now people call me coach or coach Khanyi, it's just something that I chose and put on social media, and it worked.
And you ran with it.
I ran with it, and it just worked. Yeah.
How's your heart today?
How's my
heart?
Oh man, my heart is, first of all, I love being asked that question. I think it's so much deeper than how are you? Mm-hmm. And cause sometimes we can lie and say I'm fine. But when someone asks how my heart is, it's very light in a good way. Mm-hmm. I woke up this morning, I went to the gym, and I was so proud of myself because it was cold. And I did not want to get out of bed. And I got to the gym, and I was the only person at the gym. And I was just like, I am that girl. I conquered. I was like, I am that person that goes to the gym even when it's cold. Sure. And I felt so proud of myself, and I got ready. I've been really, really excited to have this conversation. So my heart is in such a very light, good, almost kind of like this romanticized version of my life right now. So it feels really good. How's your heart?
My heart is struggling in the sense that I've been ill 3 times, as I said before we started recording, because of my schedule. So as I said, I'm an engineer. I travel. I've been in the Free State, Gauteng, KZN. And Sunday I'm going to Cape Town because of the work that I do, right? So airplanes and airports, and it's just for your health. Mm-hmm. I'm trying. I've got a trainer. When I am back in Joburg, we work out. My eating is very healthy. People laugh at me because I've got this black lunch bag, right?
No, you meal prep.
Well, I don't meal prep, but all those Woolies goodies that are healthy.
Yeah.
So I pack a bunch of those because I'm like, I don't know where this site is. It's the middle of nowhere. Oh. What if there's no Woolies? I'm sorry. But, what am I going to eat, right? So I'm really trying, but it's not easy. I'm planning to take leave soon. Might not post anything. Yeah, I'm planning to take leave soon so that my heart can start jumping for joy again.
I know. How do you self-care in the middle of all this? I hear about the box. So food, nutrition is everything.
Absolutely.
But
food,
then
working out, and people I love. They're around me all the time. Be it virtually, be it physically. My very close friends live very close to me. Mm-hmm. Somehow we designed that and it worked out. Yeah. The beauty of traveling is that I get to be in Durban a lot. Okay. So I see my family quite a bit. Oh. So I'm privileged in that sense.
Okay. How do you give yourself?
We're not doing this. Not doing this.
It is out of habit.
No,
it's habit.
We'll try again. We'll get there. Get there. How do you define purpose?
Oh, wow. Going right in. I think I write about purpose in my book. It's called You Belong Here, and I have a chapter on purpose in there. For the longest time, I used to define purpose or imagine it to be this big thing, right? I grew up in the church. church was harmful because I'm queer. And I remember when I was in the church, though, there was this guy who wrote this book, A Purpose-Driven Life. And I read that book. Rick Warren.
Yes.
Yeah. And I read that book and then it left me so confused. And it also left me kind of struggling with this idea of what is my big thing, right? And I define purpose. It's in the word, what am I here for? What am I here to do? And it doesn't have to be huge. Today, my purpose can just be you. Today you can be my reason. Mm-hmm. My purpose can be as simple as loving people who don't feel loved. It is that thing that makes me feel like I should wake up and do today. I think sometimes we want to hear that big God voice being like, your purpose is to be this, but it's in those small moments. How do people feel around me? How do I navigate my life, and how do I serve people that I'm with? And that service can be as simple as, I'm going to buy you lunch today.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to bring joy in your space today. I define purpose as, how do I live outside of myself and understand that I'm not just one person, I'm a community, and how do I serve that community?
This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp. For us men in particular, grief often comes with silence. Society expects men to be pillars of strength, but never gives them the space to break down. Men are often expected to carry the world on their shoulders, to provide, to protect, to perform. But where does that pressure go? Too often, it stays bottled up, and the silence can lead to burnout, depression, and even unhealthy habits. The truth, strength doesn't mean doing it all alone. It means being brave enough to talk about what's going on and get the support that you deserve. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. With over 5,000 therapists in the UK, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. It's simple, flexible, and fits into your life, and you can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. Even if you haven't tried therapy before, it's an empowering way to learn how to cope, set boundaries, and show up as the best version of yourself. And not just for others, but for you. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our viewers get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/engineer your life. That's betterhelp.com/engineer your life.
Somebody out there feels like they are not living in their purpose. How do you free them from that thought, that chain?
Of, I'm not living in my purpose?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, you have to know who you are. Sometimes we want to focus on what is my purpose. Maybe let's simplify it in terms of who am I? Right? I am this person. And here's another thing. I'm going to pause you and go, most people don't know who they are. Mm-hmm. Most people don't know who they are. Most people are still trying to figure out who's authentically me. Mm-hmm. But then I don't know who's authentically me because I don't take the time to be authentically me, or I engage in habits and behaviors that stop me from being who I authentically am, right? And so when you can self-define first, maybe in that self-definition, you can start to think about your purpose. And then now that I am Khanyi, when I was in high school, I would run home to watch Oprah and Dr. Phil and Ricky Lake and Nolin Maulana Sango. I used to love saying her name.
Yeah.
And when I started coaching, I thought about just that little girl who would just sit in front of the TV for hours while everyone else was go to extracurricular activities and play tennis and soccer. I was running home to do that. And so when I studied psychology and I became a life coach, it made sense for me because that's something that I enjoyed when I was younger. And sometimes when I work with clients, I really ask what brought you joy when you were young? What was that thing that made you feel good and happy? And how did you disconnect from that thing? And how can we bring that thing that brought you joy and happiness when you were younger and trying to think about what your purpose is? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, my cousin loves clothes, and this is someone who would, when he was younger, he would sit and make little cute plastic people. So he's always been artsy, always been creative. And then we get in a world that defines, okay, for you to have a safe, fulfilled, prosperous life, go to school, study, get an education, and that's it. And then we lose our creativity. And sometimes in losing our creativity, we also lose our purpose in that. So trying to dig deep within, like, what was that thing that made me feel good? Yeah.
I had Sarah Jakes Roberts on the chair in August last year, and she said to me that when I asked her what her definition of purpose is, obviously she aligned that purpose does not exist outside of God, but she also says that even when she was 14 and pregnant, she was still in purpose. And she can only understand that now at 35 because it's not a big woo-ha thing that you are in purpose. Daily living and feeling like I'm okay and I'm happy is a form of purpose.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think like we just said the same thing like in different ways. It's the daily things that I do, the things that make me feel like I am aligned in who I am. First of all, I'm so big on like, know who you are. When I know who I am and I know the things that make me happy and I know the things that I want to do for myself and the world and the people around me, that's working. That's purpose, right? And I think we overthink terms a lot.
We complicate them.
And we complicate them.
Yeah.
Like if you break down the word purpose, what is the purpose of this microphone? It is for me to speak and for you to hear me clearly. That's its purpose, right? And if you can break it down in such simple terms, even for your life, like my purpose is not to save African children. I can't. But maybe my purpose is to make sure my grandmother has the best 87th birthday party.
Yeah.
And I go and do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's my purpose for right now.
Yeah. For today.
Yeah.
And it changes tomorrow because we are constantly creating lives, right? It's like, how do I anchor in the present and still plan for the future? So my purpose today is to have this conversation with you.
I'm allowed to change my purpose, Khanyi. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah. So today it is, I'm going to have this conversation with you and hopefully this conversation reaches someone that really needs it, but it's not going to be my purpose tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing something different. And so how do I anchor myself? It's kind of like a boat, right? You throw the anchor, but the boat floats everywhere, but it's still anchored right here. So how do I live a life that is my present thing is this, but I also know that I'm creating something for the future. I know that in the next 2 years, this is what I want to draw. This is what I want to align. This is what I want to call in. But I don't live most of my life focusing on that thing that I'm not promised, which is tomorrow, but I'm planning for it while knowing that today I'm having a conversation with you. And in this conversation, someone's life might change. And that's the purpose for it.
I want to dwell on understanding that it's okay to change your purpose because as you're saying, we almost feel like we should be born with the purpose and there's a big voice of God that's going to tell us what this big purpose is.
Yeah. And
to the extent that maybe I went and I studied medicine and now I'm a medical doctor, but I feel miserable and I don't like this thing. In fact, these hours are stressful. In fact, these conditions of working are stressful.
Yeah.
And all I actually want is to do something else. Am I allowed to change my mind even after
do something else?
Even after I thought I'm changing lives?
Yes. I think you should change your mind as many times as you want to. I think when you are in relationships, workspaces, careers that suck at your soul, and you know that you can do something different, you should absolutely change your mind, right? Like I'm 40 and in this 40 years of life, I have done so many things. Do you know what I'm saying? I have lived in 6 countries. I've had businesses in the Philippines and I've lived in the States, and I am constantly changing my mind about things that I wanted at the time.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted those businesses in the Philippines at the time. Were they good? They were amazing. I was in my early 30s and I ran a party boat in one of the most beautiful islands in the world. I was living my best life.
Yeah.
But it came to a point in my life where it didn't work out anymore.
Yeah.
The relationship I was in where I was studying those businesses didn't work out. It didn't feel good to be in that space. If I had said my purpose is to be here and to do this and stay there, I would have tortured myself. Sure. It would have been self-harm.
Yeah.
But then when I step into, I am allowed to change my mind as often as I want to. There's nothing wrong. And that's life, right? I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel stagnant. I don't want to feel obliged to living a life that doesn't feel good. So change it.
You said something about the biggest thing that makes people not live in their purpose is not knowing who they are. That is such a heavy statement to make when people say, be yourself. It irritates me a lot because it's like, but people don't know who they are. That's why they are operating in this auto mode, just attracting and imitating other people, right? How do I be myself?
Oh, that big how is why people don't do it, right? So when I have a client that's like, I don't know who I am, I ask 3 questions. The first one is, who are you? And I know you don't know that. Right? And then the second one that leads us to who you are is, who do I pretend to be? Right? And when I can be honest with myself and say, I pretend to be someone that has, can I curse?
Yeah.
I pretend to be someone that has their shit together. Mm-hmm. I pretend to be someone that is strong.
Yeah.
I pretend to be someone that has my business hand. Like, I pretend to be this powerful, strong black woman, right? Because now I fall under the pressure of the strong black woman. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Then who you are is someone that's not as strong. Who you are is someone that doesn't have their shit figured out. Mm-hmm. Who you are is someone that has sort of like shapeshifted and contorted into being this person that society has told you should be. And then in the process of knowing that that's who you are now, I think it is so beautiful when we can imagine who we want to be. And when I can imagine who I want to be and I can start living my life as that person today. It's like when someone is trying to lose weight. You don't keep eating amagwinya and fried chips and go, I'm going to lose weight. Sure. You go, I want to lose weight and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to drink my water and I'm going to, however that journey is for you, you are not that person that has lost weight yet, but you are living as if you are that person. And so it's that whole idea of decide who you want to be and act accordingly.
Yeah.
And so that's how we get to that person. I think when you know who you want to be at the core, you are that person. You've just been conditioned or you've been told that there's something wrong with that person. And here's another reason why we don't become the people that we want to be. The cost of authenticity can be too high for people. The consequences of authenticity can be too high. Authenticity has a trade-off. Mm-hmm. It's so cute. Like every life coach and therapist, like, be authentic, be authentic. Some people know what's at stake when they choose to live in their authenticity.
Got you.
You can lose family. Mm-hmm. You can lose community. Mm-hmm. You can lose jobs. Mm-hmm. You can lose friends. Mm-hmm. You can lose so much by being authentic. Mm-hmm. And so, this is who I am, but I'm not ready or I'm not willing or I don't have the courage yet to lose everything. There's always a trade-off. Mm-hmm. When I came out, it was costly, right? And so you get to say, what am I willing to lose? Right? Am I willing to lose myself? Because if I'm not authentic, that's why I lose. Or am I willing to lose community and then be okay with that trade-off because it's got consequences?
What's the biggest trade-off you had to make to be yourself?
Oh, so many. I grew up in the church, so when I came out, I lost most of my church community. And these are people that I grew up with since I was 14 years old, right? So these are like friends, people who are like, I will love you no matter what. And the moment I was like, well,
this is the no matter
what. We have arrived at the no matter what. And then it was, no matter what, just not that. Right? And so that has been the trade-off with living a life of travel. I live alone a lot. I experience life alone a lot. That's the trade-off. And I consider travel as part of my identity. One of the things that's kind of stressing me out a little bit moving back home is, man, am I going to be traveling as much?
Yeah.
Right? And that means I experience heartbreak on my own. I experience joy on my own. I experience these things, these big life moments on my own.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change a thing, right?
Whew. Somebody out there is a young man, young lady, queer, and they've done it all. They're an accountant or they're an engineer, and they can't keep living any longer hiding. It's breaking them inside. They have to hide who they love. They have to hide their relationships because they feel like they're going to lose family or they're going to lose perhaps even a livelihood. Do you have a suggestion for them?
Do you know who Karamo is?
No.
Do you watch Queer Eye?
I didn't. No, I didn't.
You should watch it. It's such a cute show. I like TV shows. Okay. They're like my pleasure. I used to say guilty pleasure. I'm like, no, they're just my pleasure. I don't feel guilty. Karamo talks about coming out in such a beautiful way where he's like, if we can change the language or reframe coming out as inviting in. So I'm not in hiding. I just have not invited you to my story.
Come on.
Do you hear what I'm saying? So the process of loving you is I love you so much that I am going to invite you into this part of me that I'm scared to invite everyone else. And so I'm not so much as hiding who I am. I've just not told you about it yet. And I'm of the opinion that coming out is not necessary if you know it's going to harm you. I would never tell someone in Nigeria to come out.
Sure.
I would never tell someone. I came out at 27. Right? So when I came out, I was in South Korea, teaching English, living by myself. I did not need anybody.
Sure.
Right? I was self-sustaining. Now, losing family, yeah. And then I was convinced that if my family loves me, they're going to have to love me like this too. Right? And so if I invite people into that story of queerness, whatever it is, like there are people that doctor that doesn't want that job. Right? And they have to pretend that they want that job because they're so scared. I call that a closet too.
Yeah.
If there's a thing about my life that I don't want to share because I'm afraid of how you're going to judge me for it, I'm afraid of how it's going to change the way you see me, I think that's part of being in the closet. And so I think the journey is so much about you trusting, and it's hard, that people that love you will love you here too. When I came out, my family they struggled. It was hard. But now I sit with my aunt and we talk about girls, and I'm teaching her like, what's a stud and what is this person and what's a stud, what's a butch? And she's like, oh, I get it, like this one. And so, but that took years.
Sure.
And the thing is this, when I came out, I binged all the things. I was like, I am ready, because you come out to yourself first. And then you self-loathe yourself to the deepest pits of hell, right? And then you deal with internalized homophobia. And those are and then that's the process. Coming out is not being authentic. Coming out is just being like, I'm gay. One. And then there's that journey of really like having to shed everything that you've attached to queerness. And so I went through that entire process. And what I learned from someone, I can't remember who that person was now, they were like, when you come out, your family has to mourn this person that they thought you were going to be.
Sure.
And the compassion that you get to give them as the person that's coming out is you already built up an idea of who I am. My family was like, as soon as I started growing boobs, they're like, there's a husband, there will be cows, there will be children. And now I'm like, there will be no husband. Cows, maybe, but they've created a version of me that now that I've just told them doesn't exist. And so the compassion is, I understand that the person you had hoped I would be doesn't exist, and I give you time to struggle. Sometimes we have to let people struggle. We had to let people go through their own processes. It is very, and I'm struggling to find a word. I'm going to stick with selfish. It's selfish of me to go, I have given myself time to process my queerness.
But I won't give you.
But I won't give you time to process my queerness as someone that's loved me and provided for me and cared for me and had parents have dreams for their kids. But I will give you that compassion and I will be assertive in who I am. But you have to love and like and accept who you are first, because then you struggle to give them that time.
We need to be able to give people compassion to mourn the idea or the character that they had built for us or with us, because we are co-creators with these people as we build this identity.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's unfair to just immediately expect this magical acceptance from people when you tell them that, sorry, the script has changed.
Yeah. Or I'm not going to live with that script because that's your script. Yeah. And even though I am co-creating as a kid, you're sitting me down and you're like, oh, Khanyi sa, one day mdanam uzawutshata. I'm like, yes, one day ndizotshata. That's still your script. And now I'm coming and I'm like, I remember that script and I remember how excited we were and you were giving me that script, but it's not a script that I'm willing or it doesn't fit who I am. But I also give you time to understand that and to sit in the grief of that, because you have to grieve that person too, because I grieve that person too, right? Like you kind of grieve the person you were. I remember when I started just being out there and I would like be in defense of queerness and I would go to Pride and all of that. The biggest thing I learned now that I don't do any of that is my queerness doesn't make me better or not. It doesn't make me superior or inferior. It's just part of who I am as a human being. And I don't have to defend it. I don't have to lead with it. I don't have to walk in a room and be like, boof, the lesbian is here. Do you know what I'm saying? It comes up when it comes up. And that's because I have taken the time to really settle in it and to be comfortable in it and to wear it in ways that feel good for me. And I get to give people the same grace that I gave myself in that process.
2 in 3 South African marriages end within the first 5 years.
Jesus.
2 in 3. So that's 66% of marriages end within the first 5 years. As a life coach, perception, dealing with clients, because I'm sure many of them have relationship issues. Why are we struggling with relationships in this generation?
Because hurt people won. Your face was like, wait, what? We struggle with, hey, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not one of those coaches that have it all together. This is an area where I'm like, whoa, Khanyi needs to sit with herself too. So I've been single for the past 8 months and I'm finally like, oh, this is where I get this shit wrong. Hurt people. One, we don't do the work of, first of all, going, what do I want in a partner? And we jump from relationship to relationship to relationship without sitting with, why do these relationships not work? Why do my relationships fail? Why do I date the same person over and over and over again?
In different colors.
But the story is the same. Like if you track how your relationships end, that's what I did for myself. And I was like, oh my God, my relationships end the exact same way. And I can sit here and go, they were crazy and they were mean and they didn't choose me. Or I can sit with, okay, Khanyi, why do you attract partners that do that? What about you attracts that? 1. And 2, the stories and these patterns in these relationships, what is the mirror that they're holding? Sometimes because of proximity and intimacy, your romantic partner will trigger you the most. They will hold that mirror of brokenness and pain that you don't want to see. And then now you're like, I'm not going to sit and heal. I need to understand why it is that I self-abandon in relationships. Because no matter how much I self-abandon to keep these people, they don't stay. They still leave. No matter how much I people please, no matter how much I compromise, no matter how much I overgive and overshare and overlove. And I'm also a romantic. Like when I love, I'm like, oh, I'm going to love you hard. No matter how hard I love, they still don't stay. Why is that? Because my abandonment wound is, and the story that I've told myself is, people leave. They're going to leave and they're not going to choose me. And I approach relationships with a high amount of fear and not love, because if I am losing myself in you, then I am afraid to lose you. And so I would rather lose myself than lose you. And then you get to a point, which is where I am now. I would rather lose you than lose myself, because I am healing those abandonment wounds. And I know that I deserve a love that is ready and that finds me worthy now. And I don't have to prove myself. And if I get into a relationship, I want to make sure that that person has done the same work, because I don't want to repeat the story of hurt people hurting people. Does that make sense?
It does. How do I identify that the person I'm getting into a relationship with has done the work?
You ask them. I have a list. I do.
What's on the list?
Oh, I'll tell you this. Top 3 is you've been to therapy or you've worked with a coach. You go to the gym. I like gym girlies. You go to the gym, take care of your body. Not even the gym, like you move your body, take care of your body, because I want you healthy. If you're not healthy, then it's off balance for both of us.
Sure.
Then we'll just be dealing with some stuff. And then also someone that is super, super aware. I love someone that has the ability to self-reflect and take accountability and be self-responsible. Because if you keep saying it wasn't you, then we are dealing with a bit of narcissistic tendencies as narcissistic behaviors, because you think you're so perfect that there's nothing wrong with you. Boo-boo. There's a lot wrong with you. Just be aware of it so we can work through it. Do you know what I'm saying? Someone where I don't have to tiptoe around their trauma because they've worked around it. Have you ever been with a partner where you're like, whew, if I speak an octave higher, it's a fight. You're just like, we're not fighting. I just raised my voice because I got excited.
Assertive.
And I'm being assertive and like, you're trying to fight. So all of those small little things. But I'm not really dating right now. I find dating apps boring, but when I do, I want to know that you're someone that is very intentional about how you move in your life and how you've taken the time to kind of like heal the stuff that's happened to you. And there's a difference between someone who's like, I've been single for 2 years, but I've done nothing, versus someone who's like, I've been single for 6 months. And in those 6 months, I went to therapy and I worked through my anxious attachment, or I worked through my avoidant attachment style. And I looked at my life and I've been intentional and I journal and I do all of these things that I know are preparing me for myself first and also preparing me to be healthy in a relationship.
By the looks of things, I don't have the numbers. It seems like women are the one who compromise a lot in relationships, especially in heterosexual relationships. They tolerate a lot of cheating and they take the men back. They tolerate financial abuse. Maybe perhaps because the man is the provider, they end up abandoning their own desires because the man is providing for them. They stay for the kids. What's your advice to a woman who keeps on going back for those reasons particularly?
What would a self-loving version of myself do in this situation? If I keep going back to someone that cheats on me, it gets to a point where it's not even about that person, right? It gets to a point where it's me. I allow someone, and when I say this to my clients and other people, when I bring in that word allow, it's very shocking to the system, because now I am participating in my own harm and I'm participating in my own suffering by allowing you to treat me that way. Whereas if I ask myself, okay, Khanyi, if you're someone that loves yourself and respects yourself and values yourself and sees your own worth, would you stay in this relationship or would you choose yourself again and again and again and again? And sometimes people know that we love them more than we love ourselves. People know that. People see it. People point it out. And when they know that, they have this belief that you will never leave, that they can do whatever they want and they'll never leave. And the second thing is, I think relationships are so nuanced. I think the financial reason for staying in a relationship is so heavy and it is so hard to work around. Like, I actually get my clients to plan, you want to end this relationship? Okay, stay for 6 months. I'm sorry, I'm that coach. I'm like, I don't want you out in the streets. Right? So we're going to take 6 months. We're going to find you a job.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm sorry, judge me. We are going to save some of his money and we're going to figure out how to put it in your own personal account.
Sure.
Because you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
Right? You have to prepare yourself to exit a relationship where someone is providing for you. First of all. And then when people say, I'm staying for the kids, is that true? Is it true that you are staying for the kids? And the reason I ask if it's true, there is a thing called secondary trauma. And that is the trauma that you experience by watching someone you love experience trauma. Right? So I am watching mom get physically and emotionally abused by my dad, and I process that as trauma, and that's called, so it's not happening to me. It's kind of like secondary smoking, you know, and secondary smoking is worse than actually smoking because now I'm inhaling something that I don't have any control over, which is the same as with secondary trauma. I had a client who said to me, I'm staying for my kids, and she was the provider. He didn't work and he was cheating on her with her money, right? Oh, I was so triggered with this client. And I was like, is it true that you are staying for your kids? And I was like, how is this relationship good for your kids? And she said, it's not true. I'm staying because I love him. And I was like, and that is where we can start with a whole lot of honesty.
Sure.
Because staying for the kids just doesn't cut it. Because it's harmful for them. Why would I say I'm staying in this thing that's hurting my kids for them? No, man.
Isn't forgiveness a cornerstone of good relationships, though?
Isn't changed behavior part of having, like, earning forgiveness? If I keep forgiving you for the same thing, if you cheat this year or this month and I forgive you and I forgive you and I forgive you, are you really sorry?
Khanyi, every man cheats.
I don't know. I don't date them.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm alluding to?
No, I hear what you're saying.
So it sounds good what you're saying to me, but clearly you want me to be alone for the rest of my life.
Would you rather be alone for the rest of your life or be with someone that disrespects you in the relationship you've built with them? I know my answer. Some people stay in those relationships because they really fear being alone. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
But then it's like, would you rather be alone than be with someone that doesn't know how to love you in ways that they had said they would? When we entered this relationship, you and I, you promised me love and respect and care and softness and tenderness. And there's this thing where people are like, oh, relationships are hard work and you should fight. And I'm like, I want to do the hard work of, I want to understand your communication style. That's the type of hard work. I want to know how you want to be loved. I like physical touch. You like words of affirmation. The hard work I want to do is being like, when you're going through something, you don't want a hug. You want words. And you have to learn, I want you so quiet with just your hand on my leg. And that's how I process pain. And that's how I process darkness and shadows. I want you in the darkness with me. That's the hard work I want to do in relationships. I don't want to do the hard work of begging you to love me. I don't want to do the hard work of begging you to respect me. That's not work. That's self-abuse. Yeah.
Going back to the individual, somebody out there feels stuck. Not in their career, but deep down in their soul, they feel stuck. How does one exit that place of feeling stuck?
Stuck in what?
I'm just feeling stuck. There's a heaviness within me where I feel stuck. I feel like there's no movement. There's no progress in my life. It doesn't feel like there is this light at the end of the tunnel.
I spoke to someone yesterday and they said to me, I feel like I'm meant for more and I feel like I can do more, but I feel stuck. So when we have that feeling of there's more to life than this, the question I want to ask you is, why aren't you reaching for the more that you feel like there is? And a lot of the times it's the fears that we hold about the things that we want to do. It is uncomfortable to go, I feel stuck. I am going to go and do something else. It's scary. And this is why I don't even like calling it the comfort zone, because that shit is so uncomfortable.
True.
It's so uncomfortable to be living a life that you're like, I feel like there's more to my life than this. How do I get to that more? You get to that more by moving, by doing uncomfortable shit, by learning, by studying, by asking yourself, if I wasn't doing this, what would I do?
Yeah.
Right? And so people like that word. And again, it feels cute. I just feel so stuck in my life. I'm like, I self-sabotage. There's that term, right? Where people are like, I feel so stuck. And I keep doing things to be unstuck, but I sabotage all of the shit that I'm doing to be unstuck. I want to know the belief systems that you hold and the fears that you have around this life that you want. Because if I don't know what you're afraid of, I can't help you face it. So people fear failure. A lot of people are like, I'm scared to fail.
Yeah.
So I would rather sit here and not move because I'm so scared I'll fail. Right? So we can work around that fear of failure. Or some people are scared to succeed. Some people are scared to fail and be embarrassed by that failure. All of this stuff. Being stuck is like, I know I can move, but I'm afraid to move.
Why should I not be scared of failure?
Why should you be afraid of it? Failure is feedback. It's how we define words and how we've experienced those words, right? I used to be so scared of failing. Like, it freaked me out. I was like, I'm so scared to fail. And someone was like, yo, Khanyi, what if you were like, for me to grow and to learn, I have to fail. If I'm not failing, I'm not trying. And if I look at the stuff that I failed at, we spoke about relationships, those relationships I failed, but oh my God, the lessons in those relationships, they are preparing me for the next good thing. Maybe I'll fail at that too. And that one will have lessons of its own, right? I failed at businesses. I told you about those businesses in the Philippines. I failed at them, right? Was out of my control a little bit, but I failed at them. Instead of being like, I will never have a business ever again.
Sure.
The question I want to ask is, why did those businesses fail? Who was I? What was I not prepared for? What did I do when I was running those businesses? Failure is necessary. You have to fail. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you have to fail. You have to fail and get up and try again and again. And also failure is like, allows you to kind of be flexible in the life that you want. We're so rigid. Like, I want it this way and this way only. And sometimes it's what you prayed for, and the universe is like, hey, it is, but you're like, I wanted it in a pink box. The universe is like, it's better in a blue box.
Yeah.
Right? But we don't see it that way. We see it, oh, well, I failed because it's not the pink box that I wanted it in. Whereas if I go, you know what, I'm going to be a bit flexible and see what's in this blue box and what I can work with. And what is this failure teaching me? Failure is one of the greatest teachers ever. So I'm big on mistakes. I'm like, make all of them.
I feel like I'm failing repeatedly on the same things though, and it's crippling me.
Well, change approach, Do you do different approaches?
I get married and I divorce. And this is my third divorce. So I feel like in the area of companionship, I'm really horrible.
When and then this is the question I asked earlier, right? When I'm going through these divorces, am I learning what I do wrong in those relationships? Or am I blaming the ex-partners for the relationship rupture? Do you know what I'm saying? Am I like, my ex was a narcissist? No, my ex was a narcissist. And then I am curious about, why did I attract a narcissist? What are some of the behaviors that made me prey to narcissism? If I was someone that was securely attached, maybe that narcissist would not have come for me, but I'm a people pleaser. And I'm a yes man.
Yeah.
And narcissistic tendencies work on me because I'm someone that doesn't know how to self-advocate. And so if I can go, that failed because of this, what do I need to change about myself? Sometimes things fail and we want to change that thing. I think it is more effective and it is more powerful when I change myself.
How do I stop blaming people for things going wrong in my life?
I like this topic too. Do you know who Tony Robinson is?
Yes.
He has I'm obsessed with him. Like, I love him so much. But he has a thing on Netflix called I Am Not Your Guru. I think people should watch it. And he talks about blaming people. And he says something that is so powerful. He's like, if you are going to blame people, blame them effectively, right? Blame them in ways that empower you. I grew up with a very abusive stepfather. And he was just like such a terrible guy. And after he passed, I did this like little meditation in my apartment. And I was like, I am so grateful for that man, because the things I had to survive because of him prepared me to survive the things that I survived today.
Yeah.
If he wasn't as shitty as he was, maybe I wouldn't have been as strong as I am. So I blame him for a lot. And if I were to blame him effectively, I'll be like, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being such a shitty person, because now I can stand up for myself. But you can only do that work when you step out of victimhood mode. If I constantly blame you for my life, I'm still your victim and you are still controlling me. You control how I process. You control my power. But the only way that I can stop blaming you in ways that are disempowering is for me to look at how that thing maybe that you did, as ugly as it was, created someone that knows how to handle life today. And then I can blame you effectively in that way.
So there's something called blaming effectively.
Yeah. I blame you in a way that it works for me.
Yeah.
It works for me. Like, I'm not sitting here being like, my stepfather was so mean and da-da-da. I'm like, he was so mean. And man, when people are mean to me now, I can stand it. And I'm prepared for the world. I'm prepared that not everyone is going to be nice. And I can sit and be like, not everyone likes Coach Khanyi, and they're not supposed to. If everyone likes me, I worry. Am I being authentic? Because we live in a world where I'm not going to gel with everybody, and that's okay. It doesn't hurt me when people don't like me. It's fine. I'm not for everybody. I'm not supposed to be for everybody. You know?
We don't often talk about this, but I'm sure you've dealt with it with your clients. How do I deal with a friendship fallout? Friendship breakout? Is it a real thing?
Can we talk about that more? Can we have like conversations about friendships more?
Yeah.
I think as a society, we just like overly concentrate on romantic relationships.
Obsessed with them.
Obsessed with them in a way that's like almost unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
And it hurts. One of my biggest heartbreaks was from a friend. I cried for a week. I cried so much I threw up. It was terrible. It broke me, you know. And we're not friends. We mended, and then, you know, life happened. You deal with it by grieving it. If my relationships or my friendships end, I feel like I would grieve them in a way where I would grieve a romantic relationship, right? Because they're as important to me. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So grieve it. And also, can we also talk about how you can even experience abuse in those friendships? We don't talk about the impact of friendship, abuse, and control, right? And it happens.
How does a friend abuse a friend?
Oh my God, financial abuse happens in friendships. Friends that belittle you and call it joking. I hate it. I hate it. Like, don't be disrespectful and say, man, why are you so serious?
Highlighting my flaws.
My flaws all the time. It's abusive. It's that emotional abuse. So even if you're not like physically abusing me, when I'm with you, my energy is drained. Before I go hang out with you, I'm like, ugh. But I go because, you know, that's what we've always done. And also, can we allow the truth of, even if we've been friends for a long time, it is okay for us to grow differently and move differently in life and be separate because I've lived a life, you've lived a life, and we've gotten to a point where this friendship doesn't work anymore. And it doesn't have to come from a place of viciousness.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have to be angry at each other. We can just be like, we don't gel. And that's okay.
How do we effectively break off friendships?
I don't know.
Ne?
I don't know. I think and it's the same with romantic relationships. I have this belief that I wanted to do it so badly in my last relationship. I went to therapy. I was like, let's go to therapy. Let's end this remembering that we are two people who loved each other. How do we end relationships with that in mind? We are two people that spent years loving each other. And we've gotten to a place, maybe there's still love there because it doesn't go away because we're ending this relationship, friendship, or whatever. But it's just we are in different parts. We are in places in our lives where these relationships don't work. How do we end with grace and kindness and compassion and remembering our humanity? How do you end in ways where we don't demonize and dehumanize each other? But we end in a way that is healthy. But we have to remember that sometimes we are unhealthy people dealing with other unhealthy people. How can we have healthy conversations then?
There's no solution.
No. And I hate that there isn't. I hate that we don't prioritize healing a lot. Mm-hmm. I have 5 friends, and of the 5 friends I have, all 5 have been to therapy. One of my friends was going through something. She lives in DC, and I had just moved home, so I'm excited. I'm making new friends, and I'm out here, I'm partying on the weekends, and she's going through a depression. And the voice note I got was, I love that you're home and you're having a good time. I just don't love that you're not showing up for me right now. Versus, I'm cutting Khanyi off because she's out there in South Africa
living
having,
his life.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that opened a conversation of, perfect, babe, I have capacity for you. What do you need? How do you need it? How do you want me to show up for you right now? And because she can communicate her needs, check up on me, call. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I know how to show up. If she doesn't expect me to just know, there's that other thing of just knowing. How am I going to just know what you need? Tell me. And then if I have capacity for it, I'll give it to you. And so it was easy to move past that glitch because I was dealing with someone that uses language and asks for what they need and calls me out.
So we should be intentional that either in friendships or romantic relationships, we keep people around us who are doing the work.
Well, we try to, we're not going to chuck people out because they're not working on themselves. But what we can reflect on is if I am having an argument with you, is it beneficial for me to be someone that I have a client who's going through this. I'm like, you hired a life coach, your partner didn't, right? And so when you communicate with them, you're not going to be talking to me. You're going to be talking to that person who met you 14 years ago.
Sure.
Right? And is still wanting you to be that person you were 14 years ago and you're not that person. So how do I have a conversation with this person knowing that it just might go to shit because they don't know how to communicate effectively?
We're nearing the end of our conversation. How do I overcome dreams that didn't manifest?
I have so many of those. I don't know if you overcome them. I don't know if the word I would say is overcome them. I would say if dreams don't manifest, how do I let them go?
Yeah.
Right? How do I go, I really wanted to be this, and instead of punishing myself for not being that thing, how do I go, it didn't work out. And it's okay that it didn't work out. And I can go and try something else. Sometimes things don't work out because they're not supposed to, right? Like maybe it didn't work out because that thing would have actually killed you. like spiritually, right? Or emotionally, that thing could have been bad for you, or it didn't work out because the timing was wrong, or it didn't work out because you didn't know much about it. Like there's so many reasons. How do I let go of dreams and go, they didn't work out? And we spoke about this at the beginning. I can change my mind. We are creators. I am constantly creating. And because I'm constantly creating, that means I get to dream something else. Like I don't have to cry over something I didn't get to do 10 years ago. I've met someone who did that and I was like, yo, like we're here now.
It's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years and you haven't done anything else and you're still crying about that thing you never got to do and it's holding you back. Moving forward can be, I really wanted to do that. I can do something else.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's not, it's hard. Of course it's hard, but you can always do something else. So let it go. Don't like sit in it and be identified by it. I'm someone that failed at this thing 10 years ago. And now my identity is rooted on the fact that I failed at this thing 10 years ago. Do something else.
Somebody out there is thinking of taking their lives. Why shouldn't they?
Oh, please stay. Oh, I had someone DM me and on TikTok, and I don't really respond to TikToks, DMs, but it was this young man in Bloemfontein, and he said to me, I am thinking of taking my life again. And I just watched your videos, and I think I'm going to not do it today. And I said to him, please stay. I understand that life can be so hard and so complicated and it feels like things won't get better. And I felt like that. I felt like things will not get better. And I promise you they do. They get better. One day you're going to wake up and you are not as sad. Maybe you'll be still be sad, but you're not going to be as sad as you were yesterday. Right? And it's going to be a bit easier with time and with intention. I love that word, with intention. And so I would say to someone that's thinking of taking their own life, like, please stay, man. Like, reach out to me, reach out to people that love you, reach out to community. There are people that want to help you. You just have to ask them. And if they are not, there's me, there's therapy, there's books, there's so much. There's you. Oh, when I tell you YouTube saved my life.
There's everything there.
There's everything.
There's
like,
us.
There's us,
Yeah.
right? I used to sit on YouTube and just watch. Desmond Tutu saved my life. Like I binged Desmond Tutu's like words on queerness and God and read his books and they were so life transforming for me. And so there are things you have access to that you can ground yourself in while you're going through whatever it is that you're going through. And please, just stay. It gets better.
Last but not least, life coach Khanyi, what's that one thing in life you know for sure that you're absolutely certain of?
That I am not here to be happy. I'm not. Your face was like, what the fuck is wrong with her? I'm not here to be happy. And I think I'm not in the pursuit of happiness. I'm in the pursuit of living, right? And what excites me about living is that I experience all the things. And if I'm trying to be happy all the time, I am going to fail and I'm going to be frustrated and I'm going to be in pain because I'm going to be chasing happiness and it's going to feel like something that's not obtainable because when I'm chasing, I'm not attracting. But I'm here to live in the fullness of the spectrum of this thing called life is that I experience everything and it is in everything that I get to be me, not just when I'm in joy. Joy and pain, they are friends. Grief and trials and triumphs, they're friends. All of it, they work together and they create something beautiful when I allow them to work together.
The show is Engineer Your Life and I'm Lungelo KM. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
kholwa emandleni onawo.
Oh my, we're finally doing this. What does EYL Africa represent? It's about standing in your power. It's about, in isiZulu, it's kholwa emandleni onawo, which is our tagline. You will see it on the back of my t-shirts. It's about believing in the power that you have, believing in the power that your God, your guides have invested in you. Shop our socks, shop our t-shirt, and yeah, just keep believing in yourself. EYL Africa.
Now available on EYLshop.Africa.